Hello, Alida here, your writing coach at Word Essential with another 60-second writing tip. Today's tip, embody your point of view character. I say this to writers all the time because I see stories in which we're being told what that character is doing from a narrator back here. And the reason readers read is to live a story, to experience it along with the point of view character. So we don't want to be told what's happening from up here. We want to be down here with the character. That means you as the author need to get inside your character's skin. Look at the world through your character's eyes. Feel, taste, touch, hear, and see what's going on in this scene as your character does. And the impact your scene has on the reader will be far greater, far more rewarding for the reader, and that will come back to you. So let's look at an example. Okay, I want you to notice, I'm going to read from Dark Corners in Skoghall. I want you to notice how many senses are in this scene. I'll just read a couple of paragraphs. They stood in a dimly lit room with a wall of small lockers, the sort that released the key if you fed them a quarter. Fern instructed Jess to stow her bag and put on her eyes and ears. Jess obeyed. She then opened another door, and they went on to the shooting range. Just as Jess stepped into the range, a cannon boomed beside her, and she jumped, her hands flailing helplessly near her heart. Fern appeared unaffected as she proceeded past the man with the semi-automatic machine gun to the far end of the range. Fern grabbed the Glock's slide and pulled it back, exposing the barrel, then released it so it snapped forward. Now the gun is loaded, and this is a live weapon. Fern laid it on the counter in front of them, barrel pointing downrange, and stepped back. Jess picked up the gun, took her stance, rotated her elbows, all the things Fern had taught her, and looked down the barrel at her target. Curve your back slightly forward, like you're going off a diving board, Fern said, her voice surprisingly easy to hear through the earmuffs. Dot the eye in your sights. Jess stared, trying not to squint one eye shut, and lined up the sights with the bullseye. She squeezed the trigger with the pad of her finger as instructed, taking up the slack, then felt the resistance when the trigger engaged. It took forever to pull the trigger, holding her breath, her concentration so focused that she registered the sound of the machine gun being fired nearby without startling. She drew the trigger the rest of the way, and the gun fired with a loud crack and jerked upwards in Jess's hands. She glimpsed the muzzle flash as the brass case ejected, arcing up and back past her head. Okay, so in just those 3 simple paragraphs, we've got lots of sight, sound, and touch going on. We have external sensations, like the machine gun being fired. And when it fires, I don't tell you it's fired. I give you Jess's initial response to that sound. To her, it's a cannon booming beside her. We also have internal responses. Jess feels her heart. She's looking, she's concentrating, she's trying not to squint her eyes. She feels the pressure as she pulls the trigger back. So think about the experience both from without and from within your point of view character. Now this tip, this is a golden one, high value. When you are writing an engaging scene, when you're embodying your character, avoid the verb was. Was is a great verb, very handy, very important to us writers. However, it is a weak verb. It's passive, it's non-visual, it's not very descriptive or moving or powerful. You maybe noticed in these few paragraphs that I read that there were hardly any was's. There were a few onomatopoeias thrown in, like boom and crack. Listen to the last couple of sentences again. She drew the trigger the rest of the way, and the gun fired with a loud crack and jerked upwards in Jess's hands. She glimpsed the muzzle flash as the brass case ejected, arcing up and back past her head. So, let's look at the verbs. Drew, fired, jerked, glimpsed, ejected. Not a was in the bunch. Also notice that the act of firing the gun only takes a millisecond, that it is slowed way down on the page so that we have time to actually get in Jess's body and engage all of those senses and to bring the scene alive for the reader. That really is the goal. Now, let's distill this into your 60-second writing tip. Embody your character. Anytime you want a scene to impact your reader, get inside your character, experience that scene through your character's 5 senses, get at least 2 or 3 of them on the page. Avoid the verb was whenever possible, and when necessary, slow down the action. The faster it takes in real life, the slower it happens on the page. I'm Alida Winternheimer at Word Essential. This has been your 60-second writing tip. If you enjoyed it, please like, tweet, and share. Have a great writing day.